pandemic, did you even think twice about it? Swiping a pass to get into an office, all those security gates and codes. Just routine, right? Not at all. Those are measures born of fear. 9/11 created such a hunger for protection that workplaces the world over tightened up almost immediately. The force of fear is at it again.
You are required to do an online survey, and then you have to watch about a 10-minute video about how to actually move through the space in a COVID-compliant way.
These are now the rules for a return to McKinsey in Toronto, a firm consulting with companies globally on making offices work. This office is not what it was. There is a room for taking temperatures now, but there's no more paper, no pens, no mugs, no trays of food.
So again, this was a space to eat, and there was a foosball table like many companies used to have. That's gone just because we don't want people doing those sorts of things.
I feel like you're a little bit of a tour guide in a corporate museum.
In a corporate museum, I'm having exactly that thought as you and I are having this discussion, which is it's a bit sad because we designed this building and it was pretty leading edge 20 years ago when we designed the space and we put it together. We're kind of stuck in time.
Leading edge now looks less like social spaces than safe ones. The health monitoring robots you've seen in parts of Asia gauging temperatures, reminding people to stay apart, do more than that in some offices now. Some snitch on the rule breakers to management. It's humans on the case at Cushman Wakefield.
Well, we have spies. We call them change champions. We have a national leader, and she will have to let them know that they have not been obeying the rules. And when they break it enough time, then they're asked not to come in. Because everything depends on that trust level.
Return to work here is voluntary, and people are trickling back. Countrywide, Canadians have conditions for their office returns. When asked in August by KPMG, 82% said they trust their employer to take all necessary precautions, but they're also ready to hold their bosses to account. 60% say they will refuse to go into their offices if they don't feel safe. And safe, it seems, now equals sterile.
Well, one of the key things you're missing, I think, are people's tchotchkes and things they put on their desk. We have a clean desk policy.
But it means taking the soul out of it a little bit.
It does, yes, which I think will affect people long term.
So no trinkets at this commercial real estate services company helping to get millions back to the office around the world. To advise others, they have to make over their own space so those stuck feeling disconnected back at home are confident enough to come into the office as a team again.
In the future, we're going to create spaces that bring people together safely.
Until then, rules are real. No more stand-up desks.
Because when you're standing, the droplets from when you speak are more likely to be picked up in the airstream.
Just one more adjustment Joanne Ross in research is getting used to. Already scolded gently for standing at her desk. She's okay. Being back is better.
I feel coming into the office is just a little bit more structured for me, and I feel that I can create a little bit more balance.
Just seeing even a few familiar faces, a relief. The craving for connections is so endemic in the loneliness of the pandemic that businesses are gamifying the corporate world.
Hey everyone, to change the office configuration in a team suite, simply walk into one of the offices.
Allowing those privileged with enough bandwidth to virtually drop by each other's offices to brainstorm or catch up instead of emailing or video conferencing, just to feel like they're together. The company that makes this platform, Verbella, says tens of thousands of new businesses signed up when the pandemic hit. Kanpai! And then there's Japan, where a virtual social site called Taknom is huge. Drinking with colleagues and clients is so rooted in work life, some Japanese companies pay employees extra for food and drink to ensure they sign on and still connect. 70% of Japanese companies have employees working from home. That is a radical shift for a country where long office hours and micromanagement have been the rule for decades.
We don't know how long this COVID situation is going to last.
Co-Simil is an architect, helping Japanese firms adapt. The absorption panels for sound and droplets make it safer, but the physical layout of offices has been hard for bosses to let go of, especially their island desks overseeing all work.
It's kind of a management style of constantly being able to see what everybody on their team is working on.
Now, with so many employees at home, micromanagement hasn't gone away, it's just gone online.
Some companies have taken it another step beyond that, of making it a mandatory rule for their employees to keep their video conferencing connected so that their managers at all times can still see that their employees are at home in front of their desk working.
What Japanese employers worry about is productivity, because world over, working from home shows an initial boost in productivity, but from the research McKinsey and others have done, eventually something changes.
Because what tends to happen is when people work in isolation, they tend not to have the interactions with other people that force them to either learn new things, hear new things, experiment with new things, see others doing different things that leads to innovation. And so you do start to hear anecdotally some companies saying we are starting to see a plateau in the productivity and even some degradation in the productivity.
And that's the worry that caused companies like IBM, Yahoo, Aetna, Best Buy to cancel their once revolutionary remote working strategies well before COVID. But now that there's no choice, employers are arming themselves. What's been dubbed a surveillance arms race has been launched during the pandemic.
Do you want to know how working hours are spent by your employees and in turn increase the efficiency of the whole company?
Measuring how long you're on your laptop, what sites you visit, how you're actually spending your time at home.
You're able to see private messages, photos, and other material.
That sneaky software may enforce working hard, but not necessarily working well. Ah, the old days. The adrenaline, the casual brainstorming, the social capital built from so much time together. This, for now, is history. And that's the worrying hollowness to the world's newly empty workplaces, that not being at work means the best of work is sort of slipping. Take a good look now, because in an era of COVID, all these spaces desperately need a rethink.